Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. Thank you so much to everybody who pledged to our Kickstarter. I actually joined it today myself and was the pledgee who took it over the £40,000 mark. It already got over the $50,000 mark. I almost can't believe it. 3,300 people at that point in the day. There was still a couple of hours left, had joined it. So thank you very much if you did that. We really appreciate it and we think it's going to be a fantastic story and set of puzzles. We have got that coming up, obviously. We've also still got 5 days left on the SUDOKU challenge on Patreon. This is the 100 4x4 puzzles, which are brilliant. They're by the Skunkworks guys. They're just excellent. And we've had loads and loads of correct entries. I think over 1,000 now, maybe more than that. And another great response. We just adore the community we work with. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Thank you to all the kind messages from those who saw me on the British Game Show Countdown over the previous 4 days as well. Yes, I will be back on it on January the 2nd. And that run continues. What else have we got going on? Well, we've been posting all sorts of videos lately. A crossword video today, and yesterday 2 bonus videos of sort of puzzle hunty things. One, well, I think more difficult O Camels from Jane Street, and the other, the fascinating GCHQ Christmas challenge. And those puzzles are both well worth having a go at. Very interesting. Just loads going on at the moment. I mean, there often is in December. It's hard to find time to do all the puzzles you want to do, to be honest. There's such a wealth and plethora and proliferation of them out there. Do check our Discord server where there's loads going on all the time. All the links to the things we recommend are in the description field of our video, and as well as all of our apps, which are amazing. Sven SUDOKU PAD, our merchandise, including holiday merchandise, the Patreon site. You can also find where to send us physical things through the post if you need to do that. You can find who the people who created our title cards are, and there's a lot of information about the channel basically in the description field. The first link is to this puzzle though. This is by, forgive my German pronunciation, which is always poor. I'm going to say Wuschel. That can't be right. Let's start with Wuschel as more likely. Now, last time I did a Wuschel puzzle, I said it was Wuschel's first appearance on the channel. I could really lean into that and say again this is his first appearance, because I was wrong last time. But I'm pretty sure this is now the 3rd appearance by Wuschel. The puzzle, and this is where I again ask for license, I think is called Mut zur Lücke. And I don't quite know what that means. Courage to take a leap, or courage to leave a gap or something. I'm not sure which. Do let me know, because I am not bilingual in any way. Right, what are the rules of this puzzle? Oh. What's annoying is I have just noticed that I cannot read the total of the cage in the corner. I am going to fix that and be back with you in a moment, with apologies. Right, well it did need some fixing, but I couldn't give it a complete fix, I'm afraid, because the line still slightly obscures the number in the corner, which is 12. But I mean, I think that is readable. I've made the line as thin as I can, the diagonal line. Now, it definitely needed fixing, because on the one I was looking at before, as you can probably see, it seemed to say 0, so that wouldn't have worked. Now, I think this is right now, and I'm going to read the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so that's 1 to 9 in every row, every column, of course, and every 3x3 box. Digits on the indicated diagonal may not repeat, so this diagonal will have a set of the digits from 1 to 9. Digits in cages may not repeat, and sum to the indicated total, so those 4 will add up to 20. The inequality sign sort of points towards the lower digit of those two, so that digit is higher than that. And that's what we get. Not a lot of cages you will observe in a puzzle of this sort. Give it a try though. I'm going to start now. We see what we get. Let's get cracking. Yeah, I'm tempted to invoke Forrest Gump when we do a variant Sudoku. You never know what you're going to get. And I don't know how hard this is going to be. As well as that 12 cage being slightly, its number being slightly obscured, this is a 28 cage. Again, I think it's the only option that it could be, but it's worth checking. Now, what do I know about 28 cages? I know that there are two possible formations for a 4-digit 28 cage. 9874 adds up to 28. And 9865 does, and there's nothing else. If you just think about the numbering sequence of different digits, you will figure that out for yourself. I guess that means that the key point about that for now... Oh, my light is not working. Hang on a second, let me try and plug it into a different socket. No, it's gone. Can you still see me? Can you see me at the back? I'm a bit darker, but my light seems to have packed in. I know. No, it's just... Oh, it's back. Okay, it was gone. It's back. Sorry. Technical issues all over the place. I shouldn't really move location at all, should I? But it's going to happen more in the next week. Anyway, 9 and 8. No, never mind 9 and 8. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 and 4 are the only digits that can be in these cells, in these 28 cages. So 1, 2 and 3 are digits that cannot be in those cages. And in this row, the only place for 1, 2 and 3 is those cells. So that is a set. And look, look at the symmetry of these 12 cages. Because you can just look at the tetrominos involved and notice that we're working with exactly the same sort of Neanderthal man becoming more erect version of cages. But anyway, if you think about 12 cages now, I think it's the same the other way up. There's only 2 ways of making them up. 1, 2, 3, 6 and 1, 2, 4, 5. The digits 9, 8 and 7 never appear in them. And in row 3, we have a 7, 8, 9 triple as a result. So good news there. Yeah, the 7, 8, 9s are in the same columns as triples here. Now that's very interesting. So bear in mind that each of these orange 28 cages has to have 9 and 8 in. Now only one of these cells in row 3 can be a 7. The other 2 of them include a 9 and an 8. And that 9 or 8 is going to push 9 or 8 out of the 3-cell vertical strut of the orange cage into one of these cells. So for 9 and 8, they must appear in these 3 cells here. That's very hard to pencil mark, because what I want to pencil mark is that in the row 9 and 8 appear in those 3 cells. Okay, what I'm going to do is write 4, 5, 6, 7 as candidates in those cells instead. Because whichever one of these is 9 and whichever one is 8, it must push 9 or 8 into one of those cells. Now, let's try and do the same. Yes, of course, the 1, 2, 3s are in the same columns as the vertical struts of the 1, 2, 3 cages. Similarly, 1 and 2 must be pushed into those cells. And these are formed from 3, 4, 5 or 6. So, I feel like that might be giving me more information and I'm not understanding it, but we haven't really done a lot of thinking about this puzzle yet. What about the diagonal? It doesn't seem all that well, this cell can't be whatever is in this 28 cage because all of the cells of that see it. Maybe that's not interesting enough to merit doing anything with. The 20 cages look very unuseful at the moment. I'm not really going to look at them at all. I think we're all on the 12 and the 28 cages. Okay, let's let's just try and focus on what might get us going here somehow. Now, 1 and 2 occupy 3 of those cells. If that wasn't 1 or 2, then 1 and 2 in this case would have to be in those cells. We would know the order from the inequality sign. And that would be a 3. Then we would know, oh no, 3 can't be in these cages. We wouldn't know anything. Okay, what's going on here? I suppose that cell sees both of these, both of those two, one on the diagonal and one in the column. And that cell sees that one and that one. I don't know, that would be useful if you knew that these two cells had to be from 1, 2 or 3. I don't think we have that information yet. I have no idea if we're going to get it. Here's, oh, the light is obviously just malfunctioning. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can really do about that. It's just broken. That's very annoying. I'm going to have to get myself a new light. I can't do anything today. You will have to study me in the dark. That is extremely frustrating, actually, here where I am. Anyway, there we go. I may get darker and darker as the daylight goes too. We will see. Never mind. Now, what I was just going to observe was that the diagonal has certain rules. One of those is that whatever is on it in one box that it's in cannot be on it in the other boxes that it's in. So if that was a 2 or a 1, it would have to go in one of these two cells. If that was a 2 or a, well, it would, yeah, it would also have to go here, wouldn't it? If this was a 2 or a 1, it would have to go here, and it would have to go in one of those two. Oh, it would also have to be in one of those 3 in that cage, and that's too many of that digit. Wow, that's lovely. Right, I'm imagining this is a 1 or a 2. Let's say it was a 1. The same will apply to a 2. Now it has to be in this cage and it can't be on the diagonal. It's in one of those cells. I'm not even going to ignore row 3, column 1 for the time being. It also can't be in that cell. So in box, or in this cage, it's got to be in one of those cells. And because of the column it's in, it's going to have to be there in the L shape, in this L shape. So that would be 3 of an instance of that digit in rows 2 and 3, and that's impossible. So that is not a 1 or a 2. That is a 3. There is our first digit. What a weird opening to the puzzle. That is not a 3. Now, these are 1 and 2, and each of them is pushing a digit out of that set into there, because 1 and 2 must appear in each of these purple cages. That one can't be there and is there. So we get a 1-2 pair in the row. Right, I'm going to uncolour all the purple and orange because I imagine now that I might have to start colouring individual digits. Ah, no, first of all, yes. Well, oh, was that a 1, 2, 3 triple? No, it wasn't necessarily, because one of these can be a 3. Indeed, I'm wondering if the positions of these cages are going to mean that one of them has to be a 3, that these can't all be 1, 2, 4, 5 cages. Let's just think about that for a second. Yes. Well, no, oh, nearly. Well, okay, I'm going to colour the 1s and 2s. I'm not sure if I was planning to do that. Maybe I was. I was planning to colour 1s and 2s, but for a totally different reason. But I'm going to colour that blue and that orange. Now that is blue because it's been forced out of these from there. So that's also blue, and that's orange. My blue is very dark on this machine, so I'm going to go with that. Lighter blue. Now, where does orange 1 or 2 go in this cage? Well, you can't put it here because it can't be bigger than that cell. Once 1 and 2 are confined to those cells, this can't be one of them because of the inequality sign. So we know where orange 1 or 2 goes there. I'd love to say that I know this 20 cage must have orange in it. I don't know anything of the sort, so I'm not going to say that. The 28 cage can't have a 1 or a 2 in it, so column 6 is 1 or 2 is in one of those cells. Similarly, in box 7, there's a 1 or a 2 in one of those. One of those 3. Anyway, that was interesting. This is 3, 4, 5, or 6. It can't be 3 on the diagonal. So that is 4, 5, or 6. This now is 5, 4, or 3. Can't be a 6. So this all came from thinking about whether these could both be 1, 2, 4, 5. I don't quite know why I was fixated on that for a second. I'm not going to pursue it any further. I'm going to think about these orange and blue 1s and 2s. Okay, 3 also. Yes, what I want to know is, does one of these have to be a 3? That's why I was thinking about it. I don't think it's clear to me. I'm going to so far as to say whether it matters whether one of those is 3. That's what's not clear to me. I'd love to say 3 has to be in this cage and therefore now I know it has to be here. But I don't have that information. However, I do know where 1 and 2 are in this cage because they both have to be in it. There they are. So orange forms an X-wing between those cells, and there's an orange in one of those 2, not in the 20 cage, which only has one more opportunity to put blue in it. So if that's not blue, then do we know what makes up the 20 cage? No, we don't. It could be 3, 4, 5, 8 or 3, 4, 6, 7. Don't know which way round that will materialise. Oh, this is really interesting. Right, we've got this weird X-wing on orange. Oh, I've got orange in one of those cells, so that can't be orange. That's very straightforward. This is definitely orange, and that's quite an interesting find in its own right, just in a box with a useless 20 cage in. We've suddenly identified orange. Now blue has to be in one of those 2 because it's not the same as orange, and that's an X-wing on blue. And blue is therefore going to end up in not one of these 3. It can't be in the 28 cage because 1 or 2 is too low a number to get in that. So one of those 2. Now, can I get some other magical X-wing on blue in columns 4 and 5 now? I don't think so. Well, yes. No, it's nothing like that, what I was speculating. But blue on this diagonal, look, in box 1, it's not on the diagonal. In box 5, we now know it's not on the diagonal. Actually, neither is orange in either box. And that's not blue or orange, so this pair that we're left with are blue and orange. And there's also an orange up here somewhere. That's a weird 1-2 pair going on down there, but I don't know that it's going to help much else in the puzzle, but it's really interesting that it's got formed. And that is 1, 2, 3 on the diagonal. Everything else on the diagonal is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Never afraid to do a lot of pencil marking. But what's this cell in a 12 cage? That is not 9, 8, or 7. That is 6, 5, or 4. This 12 cage now needs blue in it, and there it is, 1 or 2. That's not blue, that is blue. I could have done that more efficiently, but I still think I'm going all right in this puzzle. One of those 2 is blue, can't be in the 28 cage, it's there, That tells us which way round they go in the corner down here. I'm not going to get a 3 in the corner on the diagonal, that much I know. That is blue by 4 looking into it. Well, almost 4, but anyway, that is blue, and that is therefore orange. And just the fact that orange and blue are different has proved quite interesting in many places in this puzzle. Now, that is 3, 4, 5 or 6, of course, because it's not 1 or 2 in its cage. That is a pair that adds up to 9. So this is a pair that adds up to 9. And does that mean this is a pair that adds up to 9? I think it does, because if you add up these 2 cages, they add up to 24. Obviously, if you take out the 1, 2s, that's 6 removed. These add up to 18. And if the pair in row 3 adds up to 9, then the pair on the diagonal adds up to 9, and it can't have a 6 on. Thank goodness for this pencil marking. That is a 4, 5 pair. Now we know that both of these cages are 1, 2, 4, 5 cages, because they can't have 3 and 6 in once we get that. So we can remove 3 from there and 3, 6 from here. We've now got a 4, 5 pair in row 3. This puzzle is just growing on me. It's brilliant. 6 there, 3 there, 2 more digits actually placed. I love this. Right, on the diagonal, from that vast, voluminous pencil marking, I can now remove 4, 5. I dare say it's not going to help yet, but those digits now only have 4 possibilities, which makes them a bit more reasonable for pencil marking. Now, 3 and 3 there. I don't think we can put 3 into the 28 cage. We can't. So we get another 3 in the grid. I'm just rechecking orange and blue to see if I've done everything I can. Oh, I'll tell you what, here. That pair sees all of these cells. So they cannot contain 1 or 2 at all, this cage that adds up to 20. Now, we said earlier what a 20 cage, 4-cell 20 cage without 1 or 2 in it that adds up to 20 is made up of. It's either 3, 4, 5, 8 or 3, 4, 6, 7. So it's got a 3 in it in one of those cells. If it's 3, 4, 6, 7, that's 3, 6, and that's 4, 7. If it's 3, 4, 5, 8, I don't know, it's not quite as interesting somehow. So I'm going to fully pencil mark it. I mean, that looked very helpful, but maybe it didn't get quite enough done. 3, 6, 1, 2... Now, maybe I should have been able to replicate this whole adventure in 7, 8, 9s, but is it entirely the reverse situation, so that's going to become a 7? I'm going to have to think back to what we did at the start. I mean, it probably is. It probably is. We can probably look at this as... Now, how did I know that was 3? I knew that because of the diagonal, didn't I? So, yeah, but the diagonal doesn't hit. Yeah, the diagonal is different for the different shapes, despite the sort of similarity and symmetry of the cage shapes. This diagonal doesn't hit a 28 cage after that cell. So it isn't as helpful at the other end of the grid. And I can't immediately write a 7 into that cell. Fair enough, fair enough. This is entertaining Sudoku without doing that, in my opinion. I mean, you know that my standards for entertaining are different from the normal cool cat who's a YouTuber, but there you go. Now, we've got a 9 in one of those cells. Yes, that's probably important, that 9 is not in this cage now. 9 is in one of those. It doesn't confine 9 quite tightly enough anywhere, sadly. I'm going to have to think about the 3s, maybe. No, I'm going to have to think about these 28 cages now. So this one, they're all going to need 9 and 8 in. That is important. And yes, we have this same principle that two of these three cells are 8 and 9 are going to force 8 and 9 into those cells. I'm tempted to say not on the diagonal. So if that was 8 or 9, that would be 8 or 9. And you could actually then place 8 or 9 there on the diagonal, because these two cells between them see all of these three potential places. If that was 8 or 9, that would be 8 or 9. Now we're not seeing anywhere near as many of the diagonal cells. Let's just look at that being 8 or 9, making that 8 or 9. No, I mean, we do, well, we place 8 or 9 on the diagonal. Okay, we have to colour these. That's the upshot. So let's make this bright green. The trouble is, I don't know what happens, because if one of these is a 7, it doesn't have to go into one of these cells, because these cages could be 5, 6, 8, 9 cages. Maybe I need to find cells where that can't happen. So if this was a 7, these would be from 5, 6, 8, 9. Where are we going to put 4 in the column? In one of those cells, because of this 4, 5 pair up here. So 4 would have to be in one of those cells with a 1 or a 2, because that's what the blue represents. And then 3 would have to be specifically here, actually. If 7 went here, that's not so good. Okay, let's colour the. Let's forget colouring green, colouring 7, 8, 9 for now. Let's colour 4 and 5. So I use green and red for those. No, green and grey for those. And that's grey and that's green. So one of those is grey. Green's much less clear. One of those is green. Green and grey would have taken their places on the diagonal. 4 and 5 don't both go into this. Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, you don't put both 4 and 5 in this 28 cage, or you can't get there with the other digits. So one of them can go in there, and does, but the other one goes into one of these cells with orange. Oh, we now know where orange is, in fact. Sorry, I should have done that a while ago. So grey or green goes here, and also therefore into one of these two cells. So these are definitely selected from 1, 2, 4, 5. I want to say, and I daren't, I do now. So let's imagine this is grey and blue, because that's grey. Then where's green in column 3? It must be in this box. And the converse would be true. If this was green and blue, because that's green, where's grey in this column? It's in those cells. So this one isn't 4 or 5, or 1, 2, or 3. It's a bigger digit. Eight and 9, I don't know. No, I was thinking about 8 and 9. I shouldn't worry. 1, 2, 4, 5 form a virtual quadruple included in those cells. 3 is not in those cells. 3 is definitely here in column 3 now, because there's a 3 in one of those two, but then the 20 cage. So the 20 cages have come into play. They've come to bat today. These are from 6, 7, 8, 9. It may be time to start colouring big digits as well in this puzzle in a moment, which is going to leave me a bit palette-ridden. I don't know, that's not a word, but with a heavily coloured grid, which I'm going to struggle to interpret because of all the colours. That's what I'm trying to say. Interesting. So 3, we got an extra 3. So there's a 3 in one of these two cells. There's a 3 in one of these two cells. We've got 3 in, well, can we do anything else with 3? I mean, we've done a lot with 3, but I'm greedy and I want to do more. Can we say that that's not a 3? If we could, then 3's in one of those two, then it's in one of those two, then we can put it there. Let's see, why can't this be a 3? Because of something else that's going to go into it with orange. So let's think about grey and green, although it sounds like Graham Greene, the author, and that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about grey and green. Right, maybe there is a similar deal going on. So those can't be in these cells. Where are grey and green in this box? One of them could go in the 28 cage and does go in the 28 cage and not there. So one of those, grey or green, goes in here. The other one has to go into this domino. Now, does that mean grey and... I don't know. One of these 4 cells is green. No, I'm trying to work out if we can rule out grey from being in this pair. I don't think we can. I don't think I've got the wherewithal to do that. Interesting, but I'm a bit stuck there. Now, we've still got to fit 9 and 8 into all of these. Yeah, that's interesting. 9 and 8 go in those cells. These see 1, 2, and 4, 5 in the column. So they're selected from 3, 6, 7. One of them's a 3, and the other is 6 or 7. Whatever isn't in there. So the 6 or 7 actually adds up to form 11 with this grey or green digit. Because the other pair that makes 11 is in here with the 9 and 8. Yeah, that's facts. Hard won facts, but facts nonetheless. Now, these cells C, 1 and 2, and that and those, they must have one of 4 or 5 in them, as well as 3. And 1 bigger digit. Oh, that's getting very hard to keep a handle on. So down here we've got 3 and 6 or 7. So 8 and 9, right, that's interesting. 8 and 9 are in this group of cells. They can't both be in the 20 cage because that can't be a 1-2 pair because it wouldn't include orange. Therefore, one of 8 or 9 is sitting here. And well, okay, I'm going to leave the pencil marks in. The other is in this cage. So there is an 8 or a 9 in this 20 cage, which isn't necessarily true of the other one. But only one of them. Now, can we keep 1 or 2 out of it now? Only if it was 3, 4, 5, 8. How would that work? It wouldn't work. That's really interesting. Right. So, having established that there is a 9 or an 8 in this 20 cage, I'm now wondering whether we can keep the blue 1 or 2 out of it. Now, the ways that we decided we could form a 4-cell 20 cage without 1 or 2 are 3, 4, 5, 8 or 3, 4, 6, 7. There is a 9 or an 8 in this cage. So 3, 4, 5, 8 would be the only way to make it up. And the reason that won't work is that would be 4 or 5. This would be 3. And you'd need another of 4 or 5 in this pair. And you can't have it because that sees both of 4 and 5. So this is the low blue digit. And this one isn't. And we can pencil mark those accordingly. We can colour over here as well. That's not blue, that's not orange. That gives us that this is orange and this isn't, and that's 1 or 2. And we've got all the oranges in the grid and all the blues now. Okay. And we've put one of these in the box, in the cage, along with 8 or 9. Now, that doesn't mean they add up to 10. It could be a 9-2 adding up to 11, or it could be an 8-1 adding up to 9. But it does mean the other pair of digits in this cage add up also to 9, 10, or 11. So if 3 is in the cage, it's with a 6 or a 7 as the 4th digit. If 3 is not in the cage, then we've got to have a 4 or a 5 here to go with a 6 or a 7 here. I mean, we do know from this column that this is 1 of 9 or 8 and 1 of 6 or 7. So the minimum that can be is 14, the maximum is 16. So the minimum and maximum for this group of cells are 6 and 8. No, 14 and 16. 6 and 4 are the minimum and maximum. And this cell, therefore, is 3 or 4, I want to say. I don't, oh no, it could be 5. It could be 5. 3, 4, or 5. So the other of 6 and 7 goes into one of these cells in this box. Okay, that was quite complicated stuff, but it was probably quite important. Okay, but we need to find something else going on. We've got grey there, one of these is grey. Oh, green and grey are 4 and 5, and I've now identified that this digit is 4 or 5, so that has gone grey. So this is grey, yes. One of these is green. Wow, okay, that teaches me that one of these is green, and the other one is 3. So they're both from 3, 4, 5, and we've now got a triple of 3, 4, 5 in the box. I'm going to write the 6, 7, 8 or 9 in there, and also in these two. Now, has green and grey proliferated anywhere? Not, I think, as a result of what we've done. I had definitely been expecting to go colouring the big digits, and instead I'm colouring the middly digits now, which is quite surprising. Okay, this 20 cage. It is either 3, 4, 5, 8 or 3, 4, 6, 7. If it's 3, 4, 5, 8, that is definitely grey, because this grey digit must be in it then. And it would have to be there. The only way for this not to be grey is if the cage is 3, 4, 5, 8. And this digit is the other one of 4 or 5, is green. And then green in the top row would be here, and that's impossible. Right, that's good. Yes, okay, simple way of getting that the normal way round. Where is green in the top row? It's in one of these cells. It's in this cage. It's not here. Which I thought was important a moment ago. Maybe I was still postulating that this was 4 or 5. If this is 4 or 5, it is now grey. It can't be green. If it's not 4 or 5, then they're both in this cage. They're both in this group of cells, indeed, in this... No, they're not. We've got a grey there. Right, the way this isn't 4 or 5 is if it's part of a 3, 4, 6, 7 cage, because green is in there. If 4 and 5 are both in the cage, it's there. So it would have to not be a 3, 4, 5, 8 cage for this not to be grey. It would have to be a 7 in a 3, 4, 6, 7 cage. That would be 3, 4, 6, and grey would be 5. So for this not to be grey, grey is 5 and in one of those cells. There's still work to do in this, isn't there? There's still work to do. Goodness me, there is. I do need to figure it out, and I'm not getting there at the moment. Oh, come on, let's think of something totally new. Oh, that's a hard old question to answer. Okay, this cell. We looked at that a long time ago, didn't we? We said it couldn't be 9 or 8. No, well, we did say, well, whatever I said, that is true. It can't be 9 or 8, because what we did say is that it can't be any of the cells in this cage, and that's true. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix something below the desk here and getting it wrong. There we go. Okay, that's better. Now, this cell cannot be what's in here, and that includes 9 and 8. That's the point I was trying to get to. So this is 4, 5, 6, or 7, because it also can't be 1, 2, or 3. That's been available for a little while. Okay. Now, 9 and 8 are both in this cage. One of them could be there, but one of them must be here. At least. Maybe both. If that was both 9 and 8, that becomes a 7 automatically. These, well, those would be from 4, 5, 6 only. I don't know. Is it this triangle? That's quite interesting. They all have to be different, but they don't have to be 7, 8, 9 as a triple, because this could be a 6. Maybe let's think about what happens if this is a 6 in the 28 cage. Then these are 9, 8, 5. In fact, if that's a 6, this is a 5, this is a 9, 8 pair. What happens then? That's a 5. I don't know. It depends to some extent on whether green is 5 or grey is 5. I'm not seeing the next step. I was quite pleased with the progress so far, but I'm getting a bit bogged down now. But I do want to crack this. This is a very, very interesting puzzle. If that's 8 or 9, it must be here. Now that wouldn't be a shock, because 8 and 9 both appear in these cells. Something I'm learning there is that that can't be an 8-9 pair. So one of these two is 8 or 9. That doesn't do anything for me. I do like, I mean, that 1, 2 seemed very useful based on what couldn't be in this cage. So I'm going back to think about this cell, which can't be in this 28 cage. It is one of the pairs that isn't in that. So, if it was 4, 7 wouldn't be in this cage. 7 would have to be in one of those two cells, and not here. If it was 7, 4 would have to be here. Am I deciding? No, nearly. Nearly deciding that those two add up to 11, but instead that 11 combination could be made by 7 in row 3 and 4 there. How are we ever going to get off the fence about what is 1 and 2, what is 4 and 5? Maybe this cage is going to have to do it. If that was 8-6, this would have to be 5-1. Oh, where's grey in box 5? It's there. That's interesting. I had not noticed that before. So if grey is the 4 or 5 in this cage, it must be there. Yeah, that's very straightforward. So these include 3 again. Well, and what? I don't think I know, but they do include 3. That's worth penciling in. We've got 3 in one of those cells. 3 can't be in this cage, so 3's in one of those cells, and that does fix where 3 is in box jobby. What's this? Box 2. That's a 3. This is, well, one of these two is the green 4 or 5. They're in different boxes. That's powerful. It would be powerful to know which it was. Grey is definitely in one of these 2 cells. That's getting quite interesting now. If grey is here, then green isn't in this box. Green is in one of those 2. And then green would have to be here, which would put it here. Okay, so what are we saying? If grey is in the cage, then green is appearing in these places. Come on, what does that do? I need to make sure they're all on the diagonal as well. That's weird. The marked diagonal is absolutely to the 4 in this puzzle. Right, hang on. We know green. No, we don't know green's not in this cage. If grey's not in this cage, grey's here. And then 3 is here, which is a bit interesting, but maybe not enough. But if grey is not in the cage, then green is in the cage. Okay, so the only way for this to be green puts green in this cage. Then grey is not in the cage, and that's grey, and that's 3. Oh, we do now know that green is in this cage, and therefore grey isn't, don't we? No, it could be a 3, 4, 5, 8 cage up here, so grey can be in it. I'm getting my cages mixed up. These 28 cages can and do only have one of green or grey, but the 20 cages can have both, or might not. Gosh, that's a very hard mix to keep in your head. Grey and green have been on the diagonal. I'm gonna have to colour these other numbers, but I don't know what the effect of those other numbers is. Right, I do. Look, let's get a new colour for this cell, purple. Where's that in box 1? It's in one of those 2. Now that's very exciting for box 2, where it's suddenly been ruled out of all those and we can place it there. Well, you know, for me, that's an exciting move. One of these 2 is purple. I don't know which one. It could be 6. Still, that is much more interesting than I was expecting. This also will go bright green because I'm not, no, we'll go yellow, not deploying that anywhere. That yellow is also in that pair along with purple. Yellow is now in one of those two. And yellow is now in one of these two along with purple. And I have a feeling that's not going to go anywhere else, but it's still a surprise and worth noting. Yeah, just colouring, that is going to do stuff. So, yellow and purple are from 6, 7, 8, 9. One of these is green, but this so 4 and 5 in this row have been used up. This cell is again from 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll go dark blue. Where does that go in box 5? It goes there. Definitely. And in row, what's this? Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. It goes in one of these two. Oh, no, it's not fine. It's just all right. It goes in one of those two cells. So it's in the cage. It's in the 28 cage. Blue is 6, 7, or 8, 9. It's also in this 20 cage. Oh gosh, this colouring is getting weirder and weirder to me. It's one of those two and it's in that cage. That's much less helpful as a identification. It is also one of these two, isn't it? No, that's not true. It could be there. No, oh yeah, that wasn't true. Worth thinking about, but not true. Now in this column, we've got 3, which has been unlucky enough not to get a colour, and we've also got one of 6, 7, 8, or 9, one of these two, which also don't have a colour. We do still have red and bright green to work with, and there must be one other colour that I'm not even thinking of on my palette. I don't know what it is, but there must be. Well, no, hang on. Let's do a reconciliation of the 9 colours on my palette based on box. Oh, I've used 7 of the colours in box 5. So these are red and bright green, one of which is 3. And they've got to go on the diagonal, so that's red and bright green. No, 3 is one of red or bright green. So one of these is dark blue. That's what's going on there. Trouble is, I'm now beginning to feel that that's not actually going to yield me any further information or any of this colouring that I've just done. That's very frustrating, but you know, you live with what you're dealt with. So 6, 7, 8, or 9 in that cell, which is purple. One of these is a high digit that's not a 9. So 9 is either blue, purple, or yellow. One of those is 9. Okay, if it was blue, it's in this cage, along with 3 cells that add up to 11. That have to include a 6 or a 7. It wouldn't include a 5 then. But that doesn't prove that 5 would be grey, unfortunately, which it might well be, but it might well not. Ho! Hody, hody, hody ho, as Bertie Wooster says. Goodness, what are we going to do next? So we're not going to allow both grey and green into this box. If grey's in it, it's there. If green's in it, I don't know, because green could be in either of those cells. Mind you, they both see that. That can't be green. I suppose both of those are in the same cage and one of them is green, so that's not a new bit of news. I think we're one deduction away, but it might be a big step. What was the meaning of the puzzle? Don't be afraid to leave a gap or bridge a gap or something. I'm not sure, but I'm really at that point where I don't know quite what to do. And it would be lovely to get some indication of how we move forward. My brain just needs to really click in and do something brilliant now. What are the odds on that? Pretty long, unfortunately. Might have to just find some way through this with attrition, or I don't know. I want a stroke of genius. I can't just command them. Simon's very good at commanding his brain to just teach him something and learn and do some piece of work. Come on, Mark, think about it. Right, this box needs either grey or green. This cage needs either grey or green in it. Neither of these can be grey, because this cage has green in it. Oh no, this cage can have both. This cage can have both, Mark. So that can be grey. That's frustrating. This is not getting me anywhere now. Orange. Now you see, this is exactly the palette paralysis that I was scared of. There's so much of this grid coloured that I just can't see the wood for the trees anymore. 3 in one of those, 3 in one of these. This box has kind of promised to be useful for a while. These cells are orange, yellow and purple, obviously. Dark blue and bright blue are there. Grey and, well, green. Can green really be here? That would be grey and that would be 3. This would be green and dark blue along with purple and whatever's remaining. What is remaining? One of these uncoloured digits. Okay, there is another high digit. We're going to call it red. It's in one of those 2 cells. It's in one of those 2 cells along with dark blue. I've got to find out what's going on somehow. There is another high digit and it's red. Now, there's room for 2 or 3. No, there's only room for 2 high digits in this cage. It must have a 4 and a 5. A 4 or a 5. And it must have 3 others that are higher than 4 and 5. So there's room for 3 high digits in it. It's already got purple. It's definitely got blue. It's either got red or yellow, but it doesn't have yellow. Yellow's in one of these cells, so red must be in this cage. That's the 3rd high digit. Now, is that conclusion right? And it may not even help if it is, but I do want to reach that conclusion if I can. It's got 3 high digits in it. That's right. It's either 9874 or 9865. It's got purple and dark blue, and it can't have yellow. And those are 3 of the 4 high digits. So it must have red in it somewhere. Now, maybe in the bottom row that lets me do something with red. Not quite. Red is already on the diagonal, obviously. But it could be there. Or it could be in one of those 2. What do I know about red? If it's in one of these 2, that's red. and then it's 6, 7 or 8. That would be quite interesting. In fact, these two in the top row do include red. They are red and the lower green number. So for purple to be grey, red is 8. Then this 28 cage will have 8 in red. Sorry, for this cell to be grey, not for purple to be grey. I know what I said and it was rubbish. For this cell to be grey, red must be 8. Because it's the one in this cage that wouldn't be 4 or 5 or 3. So red would be 8. Then 8 would be in this 28 cage in red. Blue and purple would include 9. I'm getting bogged down. I'm not seeing my way through this. Oh, no. It's not about 1s and 2s. No, it's all right. I was thinking that grey couldn't be in those cells, so it had to be in these. But grey can be in these cells. There is 1, 4 or 5 in this cage. Grey can be here, or even here. Green can be in any of the cells, but one of grey or green is in them. If I knew that couldn't be grey or green, then that would have to be the other grey or green in the final column. That would be quite interesting. But this can be green, can even be grey. So that didn't get me very far as a thought experiment. An hour in nearly and stuck again. Feels like this has happened quite a bit this week. I don't know what it's looked like on the channel. Right, let's look at this row where we've got grey, green. We've got both 4, 5 and 1, 2. So it's these high digits. We've got blue. The others are purple, yellow and red. And I don't know anything about which they are. This pair. This doesn't include 3, 4 or 5. So these are 2 high digits. But I mean, I'm just getting nowhere on colouring these high digits. That can't be purple and that can't be yellow. That's literally all I've got. One of these is blue. Am I going to suddenly stumble on? Okay, this row. This was where we began. And yet I've done virtually nothing in it. Now, let's go back to thinking about that blue or red is likely to end up there. That digit is likely to end up there, but it's not yellow. But it's only likely to end up there. That could be a 7 and not end up there. If that was 8, if this was 8 or 9, it would be there. Oh, but it doesn't have to be yellow. It could be this 4th colour. Could it? Yeah, it could. It could be red. It can't be dark blue because of that pair. It can't be purple because of that. It is high, so it is yellow or red. If it's yellow, since it can't be there, it is 7 and it's in one of those cells. If it's red, it does end up here and it's 8 or 9. Okay, this is worth focusing on. This is interesting. Come on. This is either a yellow 7 or a red 8, 9. either a yellow, oh, sorry, I'm getting my stuff messed up. I'm getting my stuff badly messed up. Right, there we go. That's got the colours right. Right, this is either a yellow 7 or red 8, 9. Now, if it's a yellow 7, what's going on in this cage? Then there's no 7 in this cage, so it must be a 9, 8, 6, 5 cage at that point. If this is a yellow 7, and the 4 or 5 in this is a 5. The others are 6, 8, 9, the other 3 colours. So yellow would be 7. Purple is the other digit that's not in it in box 8, but that's because it's in it in box 5. And this is either a blue, well, I don't know what it is, but if it's 7, well, if it's 8 or 9, it's got to be there. And that also, if it's 8 or 9, it's got to be here. Oh, this is so frustrating. Just not to the pitch of the puzzle at all. One step away again. One step away. Come on. This column has got 3 high digits in it. Purple, blue and yellow. There's going to be a red in one of 2 cells. And the other digits, yeah, the red has to either be there or there. The other digits are from 3, 4 and 5. So that is part of a 3, 4, 5. This has to have either a grey or a green in it. The other of 4, 5 is in this group. We knew that. That's not really telling me anything else I didn't know. Which is a shame. I mean, I haven't filled in that those were from 3, 4, 5. I can't see how they're going to solve anything. If that was 4 or 5, it would be green. These would be from 6, 7, 8, 9. These can't both be 4 and 5. They can't be green and grey. Is that interesting? It doesn't feel very interesting, but green and grey must appear in this. Right, not, those can't be grey. The only place grey can appear in these 6 cells is there. The only place green can appear is there. That's not true. Green can be in this cage. I'm amazed that this solves uniquely from here. I just don't see what I'm missing that is so determinant of leading to a good result. Oh, this cage, there's some other digit that must be in it. It's either 3, 4, 5, 8 or 3, 4, 6, 7. So 4 has to be in it. Now, I'd love to say that makes 4 green, which also has to be in it. But it doesn't necessarily, because 4 could be grey if it was there in a 3, 4, 5, 8 cage. Now, is there any other maths anywhere that renders this impossible? That's the question. Ah, this is so hard to see a way through. Okay, I'm now just going to ask the very simple question, where does this go in column 9? It can't go in its own cage or its own box. It's not 3. It's not 1 or 2. So it goes in one of those 2 cells. Whatever this is, goes in one of those 2. Now, is that going to tell me anything? I don't think it is, but it might. It just might. Feel like that ought to be high, but remember one of these is a 7 and doesn't get pushed into one of these. 8 and 9 are in 2 of these cells. If that's 8 or 9, it's red, and that's just done. The other's much less clear cut. This cage includes purple, blue and red. And it also includes 9 and 8. And now I know, therefore, that yellow is 6 or 7. I haven't identified that before. It's probably not going to do anything, but yellow is 6 or 7. One of those is 6 or 7. What does that do? Does that do anything at all? If yellow was in this cage, it would have to be here. Yellow in this row is in one of those two. I feel like something has been learnt, but I'm not quite sure what. Yellow is not 8 or 9. Yellow is 6 or 7. Could purple be 6 or 7 as well, making that a 6-7 pair and that a 6-7 pair? Oh, yellow is 6 or 7, so if that's yellow, then 8 and 9 in this row are in those 2 cells, and therefore in these 2 cells. What would that do? That's weird. That feels weird. Or can I find another 28 cage that can't have yellow in and therefore does have purple, blue and red in? Or can I find a colour that must be in all the cages? No, that's I don't even understand what that would do for me. Come on, I just need to work through this. Where does yellow go? Yellow there, and in one of those, and in one of those. Yellow is 6 or 7, so it's in one of those 2 cells. Now the trouble is, down here it could be in that corner, or it could be in this cage. Yellow in row 7 is in one of those 2 or one of those 2. Come on, yellow 6 or 7, show yourself somewhere. Can that be 4 or 5? Maybe that's just... Now, I mean, whatever happens in this box, given that 3, 4, 5 pairing, one of which is 3, we are only going to get one of 4, 5 into this cage, so that's fair enough. That could be it. If that's purple, grey. Thinking about grey now. If that's grey, the grey positions are leaving grey in various possible locations. No, that wasn't conclusive. I mean, we nearly got somewhere with this yellow. Okay. Each one of these 28 cages is missing one of these high digits, yellow, purple, blue or red. In this case, it's yellow that it's missing. The digit it's missing is always a low digit. So is this missing yellow, blue, purple or red? It's not missing blue. It's got to have dark blue in it. What about this? I just don't know with this one. We just haven't got the colouring extending over to this side of the puzzle, unfortunately. It's getting confined to columns 1 to 6. I mean, this is the palette paralysis again. Just can't tell what the effect is. Okay, the other way to look at it is yellow pairs up with either green or grey to add up to 11. Because one of them is 6, yellow is 6 or 7, and green or grey is 4 or 5. Why do I think they pair up to make? Well, it pairs up with one of them to make 11, because each 6 or 7 has a 4 or 5 counterpart to make 11. That just is truth. And 11 is either fully included in a 28 cage or fully excluded. So yellow and its partner, green or grey, are fully excluded from this cage. If its partner is green, that's grey, green is down here. But then yellow would be excluded from this cage and would have to be here, and here, and here, and here, and in one of those two. So if yellow is partnered with green, is that what I'm saying? Yeah, I am. Then it's in this cage, which would need a green. It would be in one of those two. And green would also, yeah, this is potentially the way to look at it. Now, this only applies in the 28 cages, doesn't apply here. But the trouble is, it could be yellow and grey that are excluded from this cage, in which case yellow would be in one of those two, excluded from this cage as well as grey. The 2 digits excluded from this cage are in rows 8 and 9 here. If they were both excluded from this cage, they would also be in rows 8 and 9 here, and that would be all 4 of them. They would have to both go in this cage. Okay, that is possible, but I do want to think about that a bit more. Yeah, okay, this is an interesting way of looking at it that I haven't considered before. If the 2 digits excluded from this cage are also excluded from this cage, then they're in that set and in that set. And I'm talking about the digits from 4, 5, 6, 7 that can be excluded from these cages. Then they would have to both be here, and this would be a 9-8 pair. This would be a 7. These would be a 9-8 pair. These would be a 9-8 pair as a result of that. And that is all possible. So maybe it's the alternative that's wrong. If the ones that are excluded from this, which appear here, are both included in this cage, I just think there's a lot more license. That's not as helpful a consideration. I really thought we might get ruled out of the numbers that are excluded from that being in those cells and in those cells. I think it just forms an X-wing. Does it keep them out of the diagonal or something? That would be weird. I haven't really considered how that would work. This might be what to think about though. It's a very interesting thought. If they're excluded from the diagonal, no, from this cage, the same numbers that are excluded from this cage. Well, if that was the case, this cage would have to have green in it. And this cage would have to have purple and dark blue. And red. This would have to have purple, dark blue and red. That would have to be red, blue and purple. Right, so I'm considering if these cages are made up of the same digits. That's what I'm considering. That's how to think of this. Now, come on, let's get a conclusion from that. If these two cages are made up of the same digits, they are purple, blue, red and green. And these would be grey and yellow, which would be a pair that add up to 11. And this would be a 9-8 pair. Okay, the alternative is that these use all the colours once, well, the two really high ones twice, and the other colours once each. So grey would have to be there. Green would be in the other cage. Yellow's not in this cage, so yellow would be in this cage as well as green. Dark blue is definitely in this cage. That's interesting. I've only just worked that out. Dark blue is in... no, I was going to say dark blue is in both of these two cages, so it must be 9 or 8. But no, they could be the same material, so dark blue wouldn't have to be 9 or 8 in that case. This is absolutely head-wrecking. Is there something simple here? I'm just floundering like a fool. That is 9. If this is 9 or 8, that is the same 9 or 8. And then this pair can't be 9 or 8, and these don't add up to 11. However, they must add up to 11 if these are the same. So if these two cages are the same, the digits excluded from them go there. These add up to 11 on the X-wing, and that's a 9-8, and that's not. So either these are the same. If these are the same, 4 digits, that's a 7. Then 9 and 8 would have to be here. I've kind of looked at that before, but this one would have to be red because it sees purple, blue and yellow. This one couldn't be, I don't know. Is there anything it couldn't be? Purple, blue, yellow, it could be any of them. But red would be 9 or 8 then. Come on, do something with that. Red would have to be 8 because it's in this cage. Right, so if these are the same material, red is an 8. Come on, do something with that. I don't know what to do with that. Let's be frank. I cannot see. Can purple be 6 or 7? That would be a 6-7 pair. These would include 8, 9 and a low digit. Yeah, that would be fine. No, purple can't be 6 or 7 because then... Yes, it can. It doesn't affect this cage. Oh, this hurts. It's so close to a finish. I've done so much early on and then got completely bogged down late on. Why does this happen? It's because Vushal is cruel. That is why. That is why it happens to me. Because Vushal has no respect for my feelings and my time and my abilities. Right. Okay, I'm going to think about if that's not a 9, then 9 is in one of those cells, and then it has to be here. That seems quite interesting. So if 9 is in one of these cells, it's also here. Then it's in one of those two. Oh, no, okay. Now I'm going to think about these 3 being different because they all see each other. If that's not yellow, it's red. And then this is a 6-7 pair. Okay, what did I just say there? If that is not yellow, these are all different. And they're all different from this. But the only place, why do I think that's a 6-7 pair if that's not yellow? If it's not yellow, yeah, if it's not yellow, this is a set of 4 different digits. Yellow, red, blue, and purple. Six would have to be yellow or purple, but actually 7 doesn't have to be, just because of that. If that's red, that's red, that's red. That's not red, rather. If that's red, that's red, that's red. Then we've got red in tooth and claw, like nature. Red would be in one of those 2. Oh, this is not possible. That's interesting. Is this right? If that's red, hang on, if that's red, that's where we're starting. If that is red, that's red in this cage. In the 20 cage at the top, that's red. Where's red in row 2? Here. Oh, I was thinking that meant red had to be in one of, well, red in box 4 now. Okay, this isn't as exciting, but red in box 4 now has to be in one of those 3 cells because none of the ones in column 3 can be red. So red is now in one of those 2, if this is right. And we know it's in one of those 2. It's been on the diagonal. It is indeed in one of those 2, which is quite odd collocation. This is all based on if row 3, column 6 is red. It's quite difficult for it to be red. But it has worked okay so far. However, it must be 7 or 8 if this is red, because row 1, column 7 can't be 4 or 5. Yeah, that's true. If it's yellow, it would be the same, yeah, row 3, column 6 would be the same as row 5, column 5, and they would be 7. So, this cell, row 3, column 6, can't be a 9 anymore. How about that? Is that worth anything to us? I doubt it. But it's a new fact. Right, either that or that is a 9. They're not seeing anything in the same place, obviously. Okay, but this cell is 7 or 8. Now, if it's 8, that's an 8. And then it's red. There is a 9 in one of those 3 that's not there. So 9 is in one of those 2 cells. And 9 is therefore either blue or purple up in box 2. I mean, these are very slightly new information things that are going on here. If it's yellow, it's a 7. Maybe that's a problem. Then it's not in, yeah, okay, if it's yellow, it's not in this cage. This would have to be a cage without a 7 in it. It would be 9865. What does that do? It doesn't do, well, it would make that a 3-4 pair. I want to say it doesn't do diddly squat, but that's probably just for using a powerful expression and being strong about this. Come on, if that's yellow, it's a 7. Okay, let's go back to if it's red. That seemed more exciting. If it's red, that's red, and that's red, and it's 7 or 8, and it's there, and it's in one of those cells, and it's in one of these 2. And weirdly, didn't I? Yeah, it is in one of those 2. If it's red, it's 7 or 8. Come on, think about it further. This feels like it's getting at least somewhere. If it's red, it's 7 or 8. And this, well, no. This cage, would that have to have, no, it wouldn't have to have 7 and 8. If it's red, it's in those positions. Those seem the interesting ones. Well, and one of those 2, which just is weird. Ah, it's not quite a conclusion. It just isn't. It just isn't quite a conclusion. Okay, got to think of something totally different. All right, this cell, this cage, has a 9 and an 8 in it. Oh, I'll tell you what. The 9 and 8 are in those cells, and they all see these cells, which now can't have 9 or 8 in. I've never noticed that before. They're from 4, 5, 6 or 7. This one is not grey or yellow. This couldn't be an actual point, could it? It would be extraordinary for that to have been sort of sitting there the whole time, but it's certainly worth considering. Now, either that is 9 or 8, or both of... No, that's not true. That can be 9 and 8. Okay, that's not true at all. Wouldn't it be wonderful if those 2 had to be those 2, had to be those 2? That's just clutching at mad straws. But But it is interesting that 9 and 8 are in these cells and they both see those. That's something I had not at all considered. And also, the other cell that forms one of these three is the complement to that cell in making 11. So if that's a 4, these are 9, 8, 7, and you can't have 7 here. So this cell, oh, I see. Where does this go in box 6? It doesn't go in its own cage, and it doesn't go in those cells, and it's not 1, 2, or 3. It goes there. I mean, that is not something I was expecting or looking for. Those two are the same. Now, I'm marking them like that because I don't know what colour to call these two cells. They're obviously in one of those three. They're not that one, so they're in one of those two. Now, what are they? They're not 1, 2, 3, or 6. They're not purple. They're not orange. Oh, we've had orange. They're not 1, 2, 3, or 6, and they're not purple. I wish that just meant 6 was purple and we could get on with it, but I don't think it does. It means I wish it meant something. I mean, this is an interesting shaped cage from that point of view. I just haven't looked at this aspect of it. But it's been available throughout. Come on, these are the same digit. So the complement of that digit, oh no, it doesn't, it could be 9 or 8, couldn't it? It's quite likely to be 9 or 8. It doesn't have to be one of the 4, 5, 6, 7s. Indeed, if that's 9 and 8, if that was from 4, 5, 6, 7 and going here, that's a 9, 8 pair in this cage. That has to be a 7. Then that's an 8, that's a 9. We actually get all sorts of digits if that was the case in the puzzle. Well, we get one or two. I mean, I'm settling for anything at this point. So, maybe we should think about what happens if that's a 9, 8 pair. Let's keep thinking about that. This is a 7. That's an 8. That's a 9. If this is a 9, 8 pair, oh, that's okay. Another thing to think about is that this can't go in those two cells. So if it's part of this cage, it has to be that one. I mean, there are 3 interesting digits in this cage. Oh, this is absolutely head-wrecking. Let's just try and go through it. Okay, I didn't really get very far thinking about if that was a 9, 8 pair. So if this is 9 or 8, it's sitting there. It's not purple. It's also got to be in this 28 cage, so it would be there. It's also got to be in that 28 cage, so it would be there. And that's got it into all 3 28 cages. Then it's going to be in one of those cells. It's 9 or 8, so it's in one of those 3 and one of... It's got to be on the diagonal. So it's in one of those 2, so it's not there. We've got it there, so we now know that it's in row 2, column 2. Wow, if this is 9 or 8, it's in a quite restricted group of cells that I wasn't expecting to find. Now, are there any colours that are totally ruled out? Yes. If this is 9 or 8, it's not yellow or purple. It couldn't have been yellow, but it's not purple. Oh, that got ruled out straight away. If this is 9 or 8, it's... This is interesting. This is interesting. Come on. I feel like I could actually get somewhere suddenly. Obviously, if it was in row 1, column 5, it would have to be 8. It couldn't be 9 then. And it would be red. Then if it was red, it would have to be here and here. Be there. So if this was an 8, if this was in row 1, column 5, that's where we'd be. We'd be red and 8. So if this is a 9, it's blue, because it's got to go in row 1, column 4. Wow, I mean, that's possible too, but again, it's quite restrictive. But it doesn't have to be 9 or 8, because they could both be in these cells, which is incredibly annoying. Then this would be a 7, that would be an 8, this would be a 9. 9 would be red or blue again. Is that what I'm saying? If 9 or 8 is here, I thought I calculated that it was red or blue, because it goes here. It's got to be on the diagonal in one of those two. It's got to be in one of those two. So it's got to be in one of those two. This is true so far. And if it's in row 1, column 5, it's not green. So it is blue or red. If 9 or 8 is here, it's blue or red. And if this is not 9 or 8, then they're here, and that's a 7, that's an 8, and this cell is a 9. And this is blue or red. So 9 is always blue or red. 9 is not purple or yellow. Okay, I've learnt something. I've found 9 in the top row. It's got to be there. 9 is blue. Where did that come from? I don't know, but I'm taking it. Right, 9 is blue. That's not 9. Okay, come on. Do something now. That's not 9. That's an 8. Okay. I don't know its colour, but it's an 8. And 9 is in this cage. That adds up to 20. So the other 3 cells in the cage add up to 11. Do they have to have a 4 or 5 in? Could that be 3? Easily that could be 3. 3. Okay, can it have a 4 or 5 in? Yeah, this could be a 6. Okay, bother. Never mind. 9 is blue. Let's just focus on what we can get. We got an 8 there as well. So this isn't 8 or 9. This is 6 or 7. That's not 9. We've got a 9 here. This is the only place blue can go in this box. That is blue. That is not blue. That is not blue. That is not blue because it's not 9. 9's in one of those 2 cells. Now, it could still be on this line in those 2 cells, or it's in one of those. Now, how about this 28 cage, which needs an 8 in one of those? Or how about red, which got restricted here now? Red is in one of those 2, and it's on the diagonal already. I don't know. What about this row, maybe? We've got blue in it now. We've still got purple, red, and yellow to find in these 3 cells. Don't have a Scooby-Doo. Oh, that's not a 9. Let's at least do the tidying up of colours. Now, that could be blue. Then these are going to have to be blue. And that, and that. One of these is 4 or 5 is green. We know that. That's not interesting. These, so red is 6, 7 or 8, isn't it? Red is 6, 7 or 8. Come on. Which one of these is red? I don't know. I mean, it feels like such a breakthrough to get that blue is 9, and yet still I know nothing about where it goes. Well, this doesn't have an 8 in anymore. That's sort of interesting. That's not 8, obviously. Come on, blue, do something for me. I really hope this is still going to work. Now, okay, I was thinking if that's not, well, if they were the same, this whole thing led to them being blue or red. Now, if they're not 9 or 8, and they could still be 9, frustratingly. Okay, let's say they're 8, then we get an 8 here. 8 here, 8 in one of those two, but it's got to be on the diagonal, so we know which one. And if 8 was there, the 8 in the top row would have to be in the 20 cage and would have to be there. Ah, that's impossible, because none of these can be 8. Let's just go through that again. If this was 8, then that has to be 8. That's right. Then 8 on the diagonal. Well, it's in one of those two at the moment, but I'm sure we figured. Oh no, look, it just doesn't even work. Those two, if they were 8, 8 is there, and there's nowhere for 8 in box 8 at all. Right. I've just noticed those can't be 9. So this is not 8. Therefore, this is not 8. Therefore, 8 is in one of these two cells, and this is not 8. It's not dramatically conclusive. Oh, it's quite interesting though. Now 8 is in one of these 3 cells in this box. And I think no, that's not quite as strong as I thought it was. I thought that was going to do something to these two. Like take 8 out of them, but I don't think it does. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Oh, come on. This is 7 or 9. So these are either, if that's a 9, these are 9s. 8's in one of these. Come on. If 9 was also in those. Then you've got 7, 8, 9. Sorry, 7, 8, 9 running across in row 3. Which also gives you 9 and 8 here. Oh, it's coming, but it's not coming fast, is it? I'm getting frustrated now. An hour and a half in. Oh my lord. It's fascinating though. So 8 is definitely in one of these cells. That's so interesting. such a surprising conclusion to be able to reach. 8 in one of those 3, that just doesn't cut the mustard. Because 8 doesn't have to be in this cage. Or does it now? To not be in that cage, it would be here and here. And in one of those, and it would have to be yellow. And it's not yellow, because yellow is 6 or 7. That's exciting. Okay, I'm saying if 8 wasn't in this cage, given that we know 8's in one of those, it would have to be here. In this box, it would have to be here. And then by Sudoku, it would have to be here. And the only overlap between the colouring in boxes 1 and 2 is yellow. But we know that yellow is not 8. So 8 is in this cage, which is therefore a cage of 8, 3, 4, 5. How about that? 8, 3, 4, 5. So 8, 4, 5 is a triple, and yellow and purple are 6 and 7, which is a conclusion I thought I might be coming to, but I had not managed to do it. Red and blue on the diagonal are now 8 and 9. Well, we know blue is 9, but red is now 8. How about that? Can we use it? Can we use it? This is a 3-8 pair. That's not using it, by the way. That's a 6-7 pair. This is 6 or 7. 8 is in one of these cells. Right. That means this isn't 8, because that would push 8 there, which is now impossible. So that is 9. That makes it blue. That becomes 8 and is red. And we know that 8 is red, and that must help a little. We've got red in one of those 2. Blue now is known. Well, blue has to be in this cage. Yes, 9. That becomes 7. We don't push that down. This becomes 8, which is red. Pushes 8 into this cell, which is red. Let's do that way. This is now not red. This is also not 8. In fact, how I've sat for any time having 4, 5, 6, 7 in that cell and 8 in a corner, very disappointing. Never mind. This puzzle has fried my head, so that's the excuse. Come on, we're getting this done now. There's an 8 in one of these 2 cells. That's clear. Now, 8 is not in this cell. This is not red. Therefore, this is red and is 8. We're getting a lot of 8s in this puzzle. We get 8 here. And that forces 9, which puts 9 in one of these 2. So that line was not a 9 or an 8. Oh my goodness, I don't even know which way they unfold. They're blue and red, but blue then goes here. That's the 9. Okay, so I've got, this is now 8. Let's get rid of everything from it and just make it 8 and red. That's not red and it's not blue. Doesn't mean it's green. It's certainly not 8. Okay. Oh, I mean, I feel like I'm going to finish now, but it could still be a long way away. This is now yellow. I can do that. That's 6 or 7. 8, 3. This is not 8. It's not, it's the other 4 or 5. So that's grey. This can't be grey because it's the same as that. So one of these is grey. Yeah, purple and, this is 4 or 5. Now, it's not grey, that's green. So purple and green together add up to 11. We're going to use that soon, I have no doubt. This is not green. This is. We need green in one of those 2. We need green definitely here. So that places all, well no, places 2 of the greens. These are 4s and 5s. Right, now one of these, these don't have a 7 in anymore. These are 6 Now, can I use that purple and green add up? Yes, that's not purple because that would have to be purple. These two add up to 11, so these two add up to 11, so that is the complement of green, otherwise known as purple. And if these two add up to 11, they are 5 and 6. And we have discovered the numbers for green and purple. And I'm getting very excited. This is a 4. I'm not saying it's, I am saying it's grey now, it must be. And this is whatever else goes in the box, which is a 7. I don't know its colour yet. I will figure that out in a moment. I'm going to be filling in, let's say that is not purple. I'm going to be filling in purples and greens now, frankly. 6 there, and so I haven't got that many purples to fill in. Greens, I've got a few more. These are 5s, right. And I can do greys as 4s now. There's quite a lot of them to do. Oh, we're on the scent here. Come on. That can't be 4, so that's 4. That's grey. There we go. This is 3, which is uncoloured. 3 is pale and interesting, but not interesting enough to actually colour. Now, we get this colour. That is, well, we get its number as well. And that gets a colour, and this gets a colour, and I'm happy to colour. This is the last thing in its row. It's a 6. We know the colour of 6. That fixes the colours at the top. I think all my purples and yellows are disambiguated now. That must be yellow, I think, yes. That becomes, no, that's yellow, so that's yellow. Is that where purple is? I don't know. Purple's there in row 4. So that is going to be purple, which is very telling. This is blue, therefore. We're going to get these unwound now. That can't be blue, that can't be red. That can't be red. It's going to be 3, I think. That is going to be red. And now we fill in remaining digits. 8's in red, 9's in blue, 6's in purple. Wow, this really was palette paralysis. 7 in yellow. Seems to be working. Still haven't done 1s and 2s. Long time since we started looking at those. This is a 5. Now, I've still got a pair here, but they don't... Well, we can fill in 4 here, it seems. That would better get its proper colour. This must be green. Green is 5. I mean, I'm taking it slow, but I'm really desperate not to make a mistake. That's 3 and loses all colour. This is green now and is 5. This is 3 because it's not coloured. And now I have to do the 1s and 2s. Oh no, that's a 7. Hang on. Now I do the 1s and 2s. How do I do the 1s and 2s? They'd better be disambiguated. If this puzzle doesn't work at this point, I'm going to scream, cry, and throw toys out of prams. Oh, this cage. Look at that. 9, 15, 18. So blue is 2. Orange is 1. That is Mutzuluke. And that is an extremely hard puzzle, Vishal. You cruel, cruel person. I don't think there's a simpler way through. I'd be amazed if there is. Wow, 1.5, no, well over 1.5 hours. Nearly 2. Ah! This could be one of my longest ever Sudoku videos, somebody will tell me. Anyway, thank you for sticking with it. It's been a joy to get to the end of. The higher the mountain, the greater the triumph. And I will see you again on the channel tomorrow. Thank you for watching as always. Sorry about the darkness and bye for now.